Let's pause for a minute to talk about Anchor by Spotify. Anchor is an easy to use, one stop shop to create and host your podcast. When we started making Sleeping with the Numbers, we used other hosts first that forced us to manually upload to Apple Music, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. But with Anchor, you simply upload to a single spot and it distributes it automatically to all of these locations. But that isn't all. With Anchor, you can easily record, edit, and even add music directly from Spotify to your podcast to make it sound even better. So if you've been waiting around to create a podcast, wait no longer, because Anchor by Spotify makes it extremely easy to do. Anchor is completely free and can be used by downloading the mobile app on iOS or Android, or even right from their website, anchor.fm. Make an account today and get podcasting.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
All right, hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Sleeping with the Numbers podcast. Just Dylan here today, and it's going to be another speed run episode. I got to get packing. I'm going to be moving here, so we're going to plow through this, and we'll go over Pat and I's bets along with the model bets, and then a few announcements on something that we have coming up. Gave it a test run this time or last week during Thanksgiving, and it worked decently well. But we'll get to that later in the episode. So let's go ahead and kind of recap last week, how we did. So last week, for the money line, we both went positive. I went 12-4, Pat 9-7. For the spread, I dead even 8-8. Pat, rough time there, 3-13. Over/under, our over/unders have always been kind of all over the place. There was a good streak I had at the beginning of the season, but things are just getting messy. There's injuries everywhere. Different players are starting in their roles. Some players are shining. Some players are disappearing. So over-unders have been something we haven't been great at in recent weeks. But I went 6-10, Pat 7-9. Hopefully we can correct that here this week. The model, however, has been doing well, probably because it doesn't do over-unders. It only does money line and spread when there is value. So if you look on our action network for the models, SWTN_models, this past week, model 3.69% return on investment. Nothing crazy, but profit is profit. All time, though, the model, 7.49% return on investment. Not terrible when you're making as many bets as the model is. Getting into the matchups here, we're going to kick it off immediately with the first game of the week. If it'll scroll the whole way over and show me what that is, it's Buffalo. I know that. Yep. Buffalo, New England. Important game. Divisional matchup. Bills, 8-3. Patriots, 6-5. Patriots had a tough loss against Minnesota. They look okay. Jacoby Myers got hurt, came back in the game. They were able to finish it out. Close game with Minnesota. They end up taking that loss. But they looked okay. Their running game is really what matters. Harris is now going to be out, it sounds like. So just Ramondre in there. So if you have Ramondre in fantasy, congratulations, because he's been pretty good. With that said, the Bills are coming in as 4-point away favorites, minus 195 on the money line. Again, a decent opportunity to take the Bills money line. You don't get that often at a value that's worth taking. Plus 162 for the Patriots, an over-under of just 43.5 points. Bills, I know, had a scary game against Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. They pull it out. Diggs didn't really show up until the end. They only get that win by 3 points. So that's probably why this spread is so close. I don't really believe it is, but this is kind of what happens with the Bills. They fall off towards the end, right before playoffs, and then in playoffs. It's a shame because they're always a Super Bowl favorite coming into the season, and then this happens. It's not great. Hopefully that trend doesn't continue for them, but right now it kind of is. Either way, I believe they get this game done. They're going to get a W here. Very important win in division against their rivals, Patriots, Bill Belichick. I'm taking the Bills to win, Bills to cover, and the over-under of 43.5. I will take that over. I think the Bills' defense has kind of slowed down a bit. They lost Von Miller, so another big chunk taken out of their defense. So Patriots should be able to score here a bit. I would imagine mostly on the ground. So I think this will be a decent back and forth game. And keep an eye on the weather. I know around this time they're predicting 35-degree clear sky. Both of these teams are used to playing in cold weather, but if it gets crazy like it does at Foxborough sometimes, keep an eye on that. The machine learning model will be taking Buffalo to win and Buffalo to cover, 4-point spread. Somehow Pat and I got this one right last week with the Steelers. We, we're never super confident when we pick our home team, the Steelers, but they pulled it out of their ass somehow and got that W, mostly because of probably poor coaching on the Colts side. I don't know why they waited so long for those timeouts. I can't judge, I guess, but that's not true. We have this show. That's the whole point, is to judge. So I'm judging Saturday, and it was bad. I think they could have sadly won that game. Najee went down. Somehow Benny Snell looked good, which is always a lie. So waivers have already passed. If you picked up Benny Snell in hopes of playing him, even if he actually goes off, I will be more comfortable with him on my bench. After all the years of watching Benny Snell, I don't know how he's still on the team. It's not worth it. I will never trust Benny Snell again. Steelers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Steelers 4-7 now. Falcons 5-7. Steelers come in as a point away favorites. -109 on the money line. -110 for the Falcons. A very low over-under of just 42 points, which is expected for when two teams of this caliber match up against each other, and that caliber is a 22, by the way. But you know what we're going to take here. There's a bit of bias here, although I do believe the Steelers are currently the better team, especially on defense. Offenses are, toss a coin. Let's see what happens. So I'm relying on the defense here of the Pittsburgh Steelers to get it done. I'm taking them to win and cover, and I don't know how either team scores, so I'm taking that under. Pat taking Pittsburgh to win and cover, but he will be taking that over. The model, complete opposite, taking the Falcons to win and cover. I didn't program in that hometown bias for the model. 4-8. Yikes. 4-8 Green Bay Packers, maybe without Aaron Rodgers, are going to take on division rival the Chicago Bears, 3-9, who also might be without their starting quarterback Justin Fields. Looks like he's trending to play. It looks like he got a limited practice in on Wednesday at the time of this recording, so he seems to be trending the right direction. Rodgers says he plans to play, but players can say whatever they want. That never means anything. So it might be Jordan Love. So it'll be an interesting matchup if it is Jordan Love and Justin Fields. There's going to be a lot of quarterback rushing around. Bears defense, however, not great. Green Bay defense, pretty solid. And really that's what it's going to come down to. Again, much like the Pittsburgh-Atlanta game. The offenses are struggling, except for Christian Watson, apparently. But the defenses are going to be what makes the difference here. So I'm taking Green Bay to win, Green Bay to cover, and I'll go with the under. And I should probably read off what those are. Green Bay, 4-point away favorites, -193 on the money line, +161 for the Bears. Over under of 43.5 points. So I'm going Green Bay, under. Pat, exact same. Model says fuck Green Bay. They are taking Chicago to win and cover. See, the model got some balls. Matchup of some Wildcats. I need to stop making stupid jokes like that. The 4-7 Jaguars are taking on the 4-7 Lions. Detroit looked good against Buffalo. They really did. I thought they were going to pull that one out. Kind of wish they did. It would have been fun. But they are here against the Jaguars. Banged up ETN should be back this week. Jags are -1 point away favorites, -120 on the money line, even money for the Detroit Lions, and a very high over/under of 51.5 points. Home game for Jesus. Sorry, got an alert here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know we're a football podcast, but Chris Letang from the Pittsburgh Penguins just had a stroke. That's scary. That's scary. He's not an old guy, 35 years old. He had a stroke in 2014 as well. All the best to him. That's a scary thing for someone that young to go through. So again, all the best to him. Anyways, over under 51.5 points. I'm going to be taking Detroit to win, cover, and I'll take that under. I don't know. Both defenses are bad. This game could absolutely get wild. But I feel more comfortable with the under. And just to maybe back up my claim here, the over-under trends for this season so far is 77 overs, 101 under. So 56.7% of the time, the under has hit this season. So if you bet every single under on every single game this season, you would be making money. And it might be quick to be like, well, yeah, it's over 50%. You're making money. It doesn't work that way with odds, remember? So most over-unders are going to be at -110. So you need to convert that percentage into odds. So if you do that, and so what I say, 56.7% of the time that's hitting, that brings your odds to -130 in American odds. And the standard for over-unders is -110. So that's why you're actually making money. It's not because it's over 50%. If you were, so in American odds, let's plug in that -110. You need to win 52.38% of the time to break even. So if you're winning 51% of the time, you're like, yeah, I'm picking all the right ones. Doesn't matter because of that hold that the casino, the sportsbook has on you. That is the fee they charge. And because of that fee, even if you're getting it right the majority of the time, you could still be down money because you have to be above that 52.38% break even line. So just a little info on how that works there. So I'm taking Detroit to win, cover, taking the under. Pat, Detroit to win and cover, but taking the over. The model, also taking Detroit to win and cover. Jets versus Minnesota. I swear, I say this every week, but Minnesota is again kind of getting disrespected here with this line. I understand the Jets have looked pretty good, and they have been revived with their star quarterback, Mike White, replacing the bum Zach Wilson. There's too much hype here, and I'm not buying it at all. Minnesota's at home. Justin Jefferson is an absolute freak who torched two of my fantasy teams last week, so I'm not happy about that at all. It was a rough Thanksgiving for me, but I just don't have any belief that the Jets are at the same level as the Vikings. Again, Vikings getting a bit disrespected here. I'm taking them to win and cover. They're 3-point home favorites, -155 on the money line, +131 for the Jets. Over/under set at 44.5. That I will take the over. I think both teams will be able to kind of score here. Running back situation for the Jets is up in the air. Michael Carter had a ankle sprain. So it might be a mix of James Robinson and what the hell's his name? Bam? I can't remember his last name, but his nickname is Bam. It's not Bam Margera, sadly. But little messy in that backfield there. I really like the Jets. They have been putting it together. Their draft this season, if you listen to our draft episode and our recap of the draft and who we predicted the Jets to take, they have done a fantastic job, and I think the future looks bright for them. It really does. Sadly, they're in a tougher division where getting in one of those top spots is going to be difficult for them. Either way, for me, Minnesota to win, cover in the over. Pat, exact same. Model, Minnesota to win and cover. 7-5 Washington Commanders taking on the 7-4 Giants. I never would think that we would be talking about these teams with winning records at the beginning of the season, but here we are. Things are wild. Washington come in as 2.5-point away favorites, minus 136 on the money line. A very low over-under of just 40.5 points. The Giants have kind of simmered down here after a very hot start. They're on a 2-game losing streak, one against Detroit, one against Dallas. The Dallas one makes sense. The Detroit one, not so much. Commanders are on a hot streak here, beaten, one good team. They beat Philly, then they beat Houston, which they should, and then they beat Atlanta, which they should. So, it's hard to say how good they are. They had a fantastic game against Philadelphia. You cannot take that away from them at all. But they're coming in here 2.5-point favorites as the road team. I think they get it done here. The Giants have simmered down on both sides, due to injuries, fatigue, whatever it may be. And I think the Washington's passing game, which is it's better without Carson Wentz. If you listen to this show, I'm not a Carson Wentz fan at all. So as long as Wentz is on the bench, I'll take the Commanders here. So Commanders the winning cover for me. I will also take the over. The 40.5 is pretty low here. Pat, same thing. We're synced up here. He's not even here. We're synced up. We're that good of friends. It's true. Known him my whole life. So model will be taking the Giants to win and cover. Seven and 4 Tennessee Titans taking on the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 5.5-point home favorites, minus 228 on the money line, plus 188 for the Titans. 44.5-point over under. I feel like this game is going to be decently close. I like both teams a lot. The Titans are very well coached. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. Treylon Burks is getting into the mix a decent amount now, and they've looked good. I know they had the loss to the Bengals last week, but how do I put it? You never want to say luck, but it feels like that a little bit there for the Bengals, which we'll get to when we talk about the Kansas City matchup they got going on. Either way, I like both teams here. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I know both defenses are good, but both offenses, how do you stop Derrick Henry? What are you going to do? You need 3 guys to tackle him. And then on the other side of the ball, Hurts is so quick and twitchy, you can't bring him down. Miles Sanders is a fantastic running back, and I'm glad it's finally being shown here. A.J. Brown, he quieted down, but he's still A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith, very talented wide receivers. So a lot of weapons. So it's kind of the tale of 2 different offenses here. Philadelphia has multiple weapons that are each very good, and the Titans have one massive weapon. So it's like, do you want 10? I don't know. Do you want 100 fighter jets or a nuke? What a horrible comparison. I don't know what I'm talking about here. It's early for me. I've been packing for days. I'm losing my mind. Philadelphia to win for me. Philadelphia to cover. And I'll be taking the over. Pat, same thing. Let's go, buddy. And then the model will take Philadelphia to win and cover as well. What will likely be the most boring game of the week. The 3-8 Denver Broncos taking on the 7-4 Baltimore Ravens. I'm so happy that people are finally on my side with Russ being busted. He's been busted for years. Why did it take everyone so long to realize that? On the other side of the ball, Ravens haven't looked great as well. Lamar hasn't really shown that MVP player status that much this year, and I'm very happy. I traded Lamar. I was able to get Tyreek out of that trade, so feeling good there. Baltimore 8.5-point home favorites minus 392 on the money line. 99% of the tickets are on Baltimore. That makes a lot of sense, actually. 38.5-point over under, super low, and I'm going to take that under because I don't know. The Broncos aren't going to score, and then their defense is very good, and the Ravens' offense has been kind of lacking. So, it's going to be low scoring is really what I think here. However, it's going to be a closer matchup just because of Denver's defense. So I'm going to take Baltimore to win here, but Denver to cover. I think it's going to end up being a close game simply because there's not going to be a lot of points being scored and a very, very good defense on the Denver side and a poor defense on the Baltimore side. But it doesn't matter because the Broncos' offense is horrible. So it doesn't matter. So I'm going Baltimore to win, Denver to cover, under 38.5 points, which I never do, but at this point you kind of just got to keep with that trend. Pat, same deal. Let's go. And then the model, Baltimore to win and cover. What will probably be a terrible game, but maybe the most watched game. The 4-7 Browns are coming back with scumbag Deshaun Watson to take on his old team, the 9-1 Houston Texans in Houston. They're going to give him so much shit when he walks out of that tunnel, and it's going to be fantastic. And I want to watch him fail more than anything. I think most of the world does. But the Browns coming in as 7-point away favorites, minus 338 on the money line, over under of 47 points. I am not going to bet on this game. I don't trust myself to do it because I want to bet with my heart, and you don't do that. You don't bet with your heart. It never feels good. So, Houston, if there's ever a game where they're going to get amped up and play harder than they've ever played before, it is going to be this game. They need to prove that they were in the right, which they were, obviously, and bringing Watson back to play is a horrible, dick-headed move by the Cleveland Browns, who just does not care. And it doesn't matter. They can bring in all the best players they want. They're still the Browns. Look at what they did to OBJ, who's also an asswipe, who got kicked off a plane because he thinks he's special, made one good catch in his career, and I don't know. Whatever. I'll never understand these people, and I've worked with them. So, with that said, I'm going to give my confidence to Houston. I'm going to take them to win, take them to cover, and it's going to be an under because both teams are bad, and I don't think either of them are going to put up enough points to hit that over. Pat is siding with the dark side here because what are you doing here, Pat? Taking Cleveland to win, taking Cleveland to cover, and he's going to take the over. So he's doing the exact opposite as me. Come on, model. Be good, be good, be good. Nah, he's kind of in the middle. Model, Cleveland to win, Houston to cover. Crazy interesting matchup in my eyes. The 6-5 Seattle Seahawks are favored against the 3-8 Super Bowl champion Rams. Yikes. Seattle, 7.5-point away favorites, minus 359 on the money line, plus 286 for the Rams, over under of just 41 points. Rams, Perkins going to get the start again. It's sounding like Geno's going to come in and do his thing. Seattle had a rough loss in overtime against Derek Carr, so that can't feel good. I'm taking Seattle to win. The Rams to cover. It's a big spread, good defense. Very similar to the Denver-Baltimore situation. And I'm going to take the under 41 points. Pat, Seattle to win, Seattle to cover, under 41 points. Model, Seattle to win and cover. Another really good matchup, 8-3 Miami Dolphins taking on the 7-4 49ers. 49ers banged up at the running back position. Elijah Mitchell out. Sounds like the season. I think it's a 6 to 8 week injury, which essentially is the season. Maybe he comes back during playoffs. Who knows how effective he will be. McCaffrey also had a leg injury. They're going to be rotating their running backs. They always do. But with McCaffrey, their main guy, hurt, there's going to be a lot more rotation to save him for the long run. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. They have Debo. Debo's basically a running back for them anyways. He is a big, big man, and he will take all the targets if he needs to with some help from Kittle. Ayuk only gets targeted in the end zone for some reason. But 49ers are a really good team, so when they're coming in here as 4-point home favorites, minus 200 on the money line, it's pretty easy for me to take both of those. 46.5 point over-under. I completely understand how high-powered the Miami offense is with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Doesn't matter. 49ers defense is playing out of their mind. They have been fantastic. Their offense has been solid as well. And when they run the ball as often as they do, that clock is running out quickly. And yes, they have the speedster Tyreek Hill who can take any ball to the house and not need any time to do it. But how many times can you do that a game is really what I think that's going to come down to. So I'm taking San Francisco to win, San Francisco to cover, and I'm going to take the over. I know it sounds against what I was talking about, but I think both teams are going to be able to score here. Dolphins aren't going to be able to score at will, but both teams are going to be able to score. Each drive, we'll see what happens. Defense for the Niners is going to come out on top, I believe, and so that's why I'm taking them to win and cover. But I'm going to take the over. Pat, San Francisco to win, Miami to cover, and he's taking the under. The model is taking Miami to both win and cover. Getting wild. This should be a primetime game, but it's not. Kansas City at 9-2 taking on the 7-4 Cincinnati Bengals. Kansas City's really good. What else do you want me to say? They're really good. The Bengals coming off a decent win. I kind of called it lucky before because it kind of was. But again, you need to remember who the Chiefs are. I know they've lost to the Bengals in playoffs and stuff like that. That's not that time anymore. Chiefs can come in here, and it's very rare to get them at these odds, so I am going to take my shot on them. Chiefs, minus 2.5 point away favorites, minus 132 on the money line, plus 111 for the Bengals. Over under of 52.5 points. I'm taking Kansas City to win and cover, and I will take that under. A lot of times you expect the high firepower from both sides of these teams, which I agree. Mixon's just coming back from an injury. Who knows if he's going to be 100%. Jamar Chase might be back this game. Again, quick recovery here for Chase, so we'll see if he's 100%. Even the Chiefs are a little banged up. Juju, questionable. Hardman went to IR. Clyde's on IR. They do their rotation at running back, kind of like San Francisco. But I don't care. I'm taking Kansas City here. Screw the Bengals. Pat, Kansas City to win, cover, but he will be taking the over. Model, Kansas City to win, Cincinnati to cover, just barely. They have, 2.5. The model has them winning by 1.9. Kansas City, that is. How are we still not in the primetime games? Anyways, Chargers 6-5 taking on the 4-7 Raiders. Raiders suck. I don't care if they got that win. I am never picking Carr again as long as he plays, which hopefully isn't much longer. Chargers 1.5 away favorites, minus 124 on the money line. Over under of 50.5 points. Give me the Chargers to win and cover, and I'll take the under. Pat, Chargers to win and cover, but he's taking the over. Model. Don't you do something dumb here, model. Where are they at? Oh, they're dumb. Okay, dumb model. Taking the Raiders to win and cover. Bums. What probably shouldn't be a primetime game, but Sunday Night Football is between the 4-7-1 Colts and the 8-3 Cowboys, who look fantastic. They really look like Super Bowl contenders. And next time Pat and I are together, we're going to go over our playoff picks from the beginning of the season, see how those are doing, and then we're going to take where things are currently and project out the rest of the season and playoffs, see what has changed for our predictions. Cowboys, 11-point home favorites, minus 548 on the money line, plus 406 for the Colts. 43.5-point over-under. Give me Dallas to win. Give me the Dallas to cover, and I'll take that over. It seems low. I think Dallas can put up 30 on their own if they need to. Jonathan Taylor, he'll get his. So I'll take that over. Pat, Dallas to win. Indy to cover. That is a large spread. So plus 11. He'll take Indy to cover, and he will take the over. The model will be taking Dallas to win, Indy to cover. And finally, we have a NFC South matchup. The 4-8 Saints take on the 5-6 Buccaneers. Both teams look really, really bad. Tampa Bay is 3.5-point home favorites, minus 195 on the money line, plus 162 for the Saints. Very low over-under of 40.5 points. Tom doesn't look like he wants to play anymore. But he'll come back at home against Andy Dalton. I don't think he's going to let Dalton win this game. I think he just wants the season to be over. So I'm taking. I have no idea what to do here, so I'm taking Tampa to win, New Orleans to cover, and I'll take that over 40.5 points. That feels low to me. Pat, Tampa Bay to win and cover, but he will be taking the under. The model taking New Orleans to both win and cover. So cool. There it is. So that is the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us at our Action Networks, SWTN_models for the fantasy football models. Fantasy, PYANTASY for myself. And then Patrick Fox for Pat's Action Network. Also, you can check us out on YouTube. YouTube, it's usually the same episodes, but we also throw up some DFS lineup creation on there, which is our next announcement. I have finally completed a optimizer for DFS, and we will be spitting out our optimized lineups every week now. So stay tuned for that. Likely post them to our Twitter at SWTN_podcast. We're not verified. We aren't paying the $8 a month. We're not there. But check out the optimized lineups there, and it will soon be coming to the website where you can just go in, adjust a little bit of things. I enjoy giving people the ability to do some customization, but at the same time, there is a set way that we like doing things when creating optimal lineups, and they follow the trends that usually win these big tournaments. So like stacking, bring back stacks, running back defense stack. It will follow all of those. So I want to be sure that these optimal lineups follow those trends in order to give you the best chance of winning a big tournament. So that will be coming starting this week. So very exciting there. Stay tuned for that. And we will see you next time.